Very important decision to give us a data roaming mandate. We think that's going to actually open up some of the incentives to invest in rural America and regional markets, and hopefully it'll be good for all consumers. And our carriers are ready to go out there and serve those most difficult to reach areas. The areas that need it most in the United States. We want to bring broadband, high-speed broadband and wireless service. And the facts are there, and it's jobs at stake. And we're so glad that we got data roaming, and we're moving to interoperability.
Yeah.
And that is the next big challenge for us, because that will sustain a pathway to 3G and 4G services. And as you said, we had a great announcement today. We have a new partner in this effort to continue competitive wireless industry throughout the United States. And Sprint Nextel has joined RCA as an affiliate member. And we couldn't be more proud, Charles, that you're
very
with us.
Happy to be here.
We've got a lot of things to say and do in Washington, D.C., and I think Sprint is going to bring not only expertise, but they're going to give a lot of help and passion to the effort here.
Well, RCA has become an important voice for the competitive carrier. There's no doubt about it. And as we've worked with RCA on a number of issues, we've found that our interests have become more and more aligned. RCA has done a fabulous job in driving for things such as data roaming. That was an area that Sprint was also extremely concerned about, and we're very supportive of the Commission's decision in that, and very appreciative of the role that RCA played in pushing for a data roaming mandate. We agree with Steve that data roaming is going to be important both for jobs and innovation, as well as for broadband deployment. Well, there's no doubt that we have the unfortunate situation where we have an industry that's being dominated by two vertically integrated ILECs that have bought up the wireless assets and are now attempting through this takeover to attempt to buy out one of the final large competitors in the industry. And that's simply not a situation that's going to be good for consumers. It's not going to be good for other wireless carriers in the long haul. We need a competitive, vibrant industry. That's what's going to drive broadband deployment. That's what's going to provide innovation, and that's what's going to help consumers.
I think they've always been very cognizant of the difficulties, but I think you can't ignore the fact that almost every significant competitive carrier in the United States is now a member of RCA, and they're united on the importance of interoperability and data roaming and some of these issues that Charles mentioned with competitive carriers. You know, we've been working with Sprint not just for the past several months, but for a year or more on the D-block issue. We believe that if we'd had more competitive carriers in the 700 megahertz arena, and if we had a partnership building out 700 megahertz for public safety, that public safety would have choices, consumers would have choices, and there would be more competitors in the marketplace.
The real issue here is it's these two vertically integrated entities. It's not just that they're big wireless carriers, they are, and they dominate that industry, but they're vertically integrated carriers that hold so many critical inputs to the rest of the industry.
I mean, the backhaul issues and stuff
right,
like that.
Huge backhaul and special access. Those are things that they're controlling those inputs that are critical to our ability to provide service, and by driving up the cost of those inputs, they not only give themselves an inherent advantage, they cost us additional, they drive up our cost of providing service, and then they use those excess profits to fund their own initiatives.
I mean, think about it. AT&T's licenses, at least in the 700 megahertz, are population-based license. In order to meet their build-out requirements, they have to build out to a population.
Yeah, that's true.
My guys, RCA members, most of their licenses are geographic-based. So they have to build out to a geographic requirement. So the requirements to build out for the smaller guys and to get to and reach those most difficult areas is a requirement of the license. It's not that in AT&T. And I would just suggest that the broadband plan suggested that if you were to build out a 4G network within the United States, the delta would somewhere be between 19 and 23 billion dollars. Well, this deal is a $39 billion deal, and it doesn't get you any 4G in rural America or any other coverage. Our members, at least RCA members, are really excited about the possibility of having a carrier that is a national carrier footprint,
Yeah.
that is willing to partner and talk to our members about how we can actually bring these services in rural America. And there, a lot of our members own 700 megahertz
Yeah.
spectrum. Sprint, since D-Block is still in limbo, doesn't have 700 megahertz. There's a huge potential synergy there would be created between a large group of carriers and the small carriers that have 700 megahertz and a Sprint that has a phenomenal footprint already in the United States and has the ability to maybe partner and team. Mm-hmm. And we need at least a national third carrier that is competitive and willing to deal with tier 2 carriers.
Yeah.
And we'd like to see 4 carriers at least.
Well, Sprint has been proud of its leadership in 4G.
Yeah.
I mean, Sprint took the lead. We pressed forward with 4G when other carriers were not willing to take the risk on it. We pursued the WiMAX strategy precisely because it was something we could get to market faster, and we could cover POPs faster. I'll have to admit I don't know what the most current number is, but I think we're over 120 million POPs
exactly.
at this point covered with 4G. And frankly, again, that is an example of how competition drove the market.
Yeah.
Because Sprint deployed 4G to be a market differentiator, and what did that cause? It made Verizon
really
move up their schedule a full year plus, pressing for standards development faster on LTE so that they could deal with the fact that they had this competitor out there that was deploying 4G. And who's the greatest laggard in deployment of 4G? It's AT&T.
Yeah.
They have the smallest of, well, first of all, they don't have 4G, they have HISPA Plus.
Yes.
But even their HISPA Plus, it's the smallest footprint of any of the carriers.